Welcome back, guys.
Welcome back. This is part 2 of episode 5 of Elantris, and we're gonna jump right into Serene's chapter. Same Aeon at the top, Aeon Dio, metal or gold. I guess gold kind of applies here because Telri's party is like very lavish, but other than that, not
Sure,
really.
dude.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Whatever connections you want to make.
Yeah, man.
We start in, and we're really gonna try to we say this a lot, but we're gonna try to get through this chapter. You know,
We say this every single episode. We're like, we're gonna try and just get through it. There's not much meat, and then we talk about Raoden's chapter for an hour and a half.
Yeah. Jake really thought we could do all of this in one chapter today.
One episode.
One
part, whatever you want to call it.
Part.
Anyways, Serene is at the palace, and she is doing needlepoint with all the women of the court.
It says she had about as much talent for needlepoint as she did for painting.
Yeah.
So not much. Serene can't paint worth anything.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see one of her paintings taken to the court of gods on Nalthis and see what they make of it.
That would be funny. She's trying to depict a crimson sisterling sitting on a branch, its beak open in song, which Hrathen? Question mark? Because this is giving the visual of a red thing on top of something singing or preaching, which Hrathen wears his red armor and preaches on top of the wall of Elantris.
That's so interesting.
Subconsciously, Serene is needlepointing Hrathen. I think this is a Hrini.
This is a point in Hrini's favor.
Yep. And then hilariously, it only resembled a squashed tomato. Which, if you know how Hrathen ends up, not really squashed, but dead.
Oh, man.
Some foreshadowing here, I think.
You know what? I think the court of gods could have made that out, but I don't think they need to. I think you nailed it.
There we go. Yeah.
Yep. So it says Serene is really trying to get into some of the more feminine aspects of the political landscape because she really she's been trying hard most of this time just to get into the politics, which is typically the masculine aspect. Yeah. But she says she had soon realized that the women were as important as any civil matter. Gossip and idle chatting spread news that couldn't be discussed in a formal setting. So Serene says couldn't afford to be out of the chain. She just wished she didn't have to reveal her ineptitude to take part.
Yeah. And it actually bears some fruit because they go on to gossip about Warren, which is the noble.
Wayren, yeah.
Wayren, which is the noble that was at the meeting that Hrathen held that Hrathen wanted to move forward with.
Yeah, he kind of just and it talks about here how he kind of flipped.
Yeah.
He's always been a devout Karathi
and
just flipped and is Durethi now.
Had a quote unquote vision of Lord Yadith telling him he needed to be Durethi. So that was his excuse for switching over to Durethi.
Yeah. And so they're talking and Serene's they're talking about these different ones and Atara says offhandedly, they're all but the same religion anyway. And Atara is Duke Telri's wife, which was interesting to me that she's because Duke Telri is on the opposite side of things from Serene's typical group.
Yes.
But when she's here talking to all the women, it's just all the women.
Yep. It's just all the important women in the court. And so this is kind of how I feel like a lot of people see Shu-Direth and Shu-Korath. A lot of them just see it as kind of the same thing, and they don't actually know the nuances or the differences between the two. So she's they're basically the same religion.
Yeah. And Atara here is she's got Aeon Ate, which is
grace,
same as Karada.
Yep, grace and smoothness. Yeah.
But yeah, so she's they're all but the same religion anyway. And then Count Ahane's wife chimes in and says, "Don't say such things around the priests,"
Yeah, and her name is Theoden, which has Aeon Ca in it, which means chastity or faithfulness.
Yes.
And they said they act as if your soul depends on whether you call God Domai or Yadith.
Yeah.
Which, so like, again, they really, the only distinction they are seeing between the two is one of them calls their god Domai and one of them calls their god Yadith. And that's all they think of.
The differences in between Durethi and Karathi.
Yeah.
So Rini, has to, devout Karathi, has to put her 2 cents in and says the two do have some very striking differences, but also isn't willing, to throw herself in and like devoutly defend the Karathi religion because she's trying to get accepted in this group.
Yep. And then Atara goes like, maybe if you're a priest, but those things hardly make any difference to us. And Sereni's like, we are, after all, only women, which is a line that Sereni will use quite a bit in the next chapter or two. And so they're all just gossiping. And then one of them is like, hey, Sereni, what do the women in Teod do to pass the time? And she's kind of like, huh? I'm like, huh? Why? And
and so she says, like, we do the same things you do here. Like, there's women who needlepoint, and there's women who paint. Some of us do other things.
Yeah, and then she's also like, in Teod, the king's court is open to everyone. So I would also go listen to cases, and that's what I would talk with my friends about. Do you think Sereni actually had friends?
No.
Because we know she ain't got no boyfriends.
Yep.
She might have had friends. I think she's a pretty likable
You know what?
person.
She might have had friends, and that might have been the problem. She might have had, like, because she was involved so much in the masculine side of things, she might have had a lot of guy friends who just saw her as one of the bros.
Yeah, she's kind of a bro, not gonna lie.
So she says there's other things too, and Tarina, which is the daughter, the unmarried daughter, it specifies,
of Ahane,
of Lord Ahane and Theoden. She chimes in and she's like what? And so Sereni is still like dancing around it a little bit, and then Theoden just like bluntly says, like, do you guys fight with swords? Like,
yeah. Tarina has the Aeon Ine in it, which means kindness. Just wanted to point that out. And she's kind of like, why do you ask about the swords? And there's a line here that says, where is
Deora? That's what they say about the women from Teod, dear.
No, it's something about like, oh, here, it's Theoden says, yes, we've always heard it. They say that women in Teod kill one another for the sport of men. And Sereni's just like, it says her eyebrow twitched. Because obviously she probably has plenty to say, but she's trying to get accepted into this group.
Yes.
And so she's just like, we call it fencing, Lady Theoden. We do it for our own amusement, not that of our men. I'm sure there's a brighter way that she would have said it if she wasn't trying to be like so kindly to these women.
Yeah.
But she says it very politely, and
she says we definitely do not kill one another.
Yeah. I've never heard of anyone suffering an injury greater than a twisted ankle.
Yeah.
So they go on, and all the women are like,
so it's true.
So you use swords, like, that's so interesting, blah, blah, blah. She's like, I could teach you. They're like, to fight? And she's like, yeah. And they're like, the king would never allow it. Like, he frowns on sword play, and they, like, he wouldn't allow it. And then she's kind of like, well, if he sees sword play as being, like, so beneath the men,
because that's why Iadon doesn't, allow sword plays, is because he sees it as a thing of like the peasants.
Yeah.
So none of the lords of the court or anything like that carry swords except for Eondel.
Yes. And then they say that Shuden know how to use a sword or something.
And Raoden did.
Yes.
Because he had Eondel teach him mostly to annoy his dad.
And then Sereni goes on, well, if he says it's beneath him, then like it's perfect for us. After all, we are only women. I could just imagine them all like giggling after that, or whatever. Anyways, we cut to Sereni is in her room. She's getting ready for the ball that's tonight. And she's talking to her Sion Ash. And she sent Ash to Elantris, or to basically find out whatever he could about Elantris.
Yeah, so he was trying to talk to the people of Kai.
Mhm.
He tried talking to some of the Sions in Kai as well.
Yep.
He says, the people didn't really want to talk to me. The Sions didn't really know much. I went to try to talk to some of the Sions in Elantris. They don't really have the mental faculty to like even communicate. And none of the Elantrians, like I found, were coherent enough to have a conversation. Some of them just asked me for food.
Yeah.
He's like, the only place that I was able to find really any information was the Elantris City Guard.
Yep. And she's like, they're supposed to be the most elite fighting group in Erelon. And
I love what Ash says here.
She's like, and they are very quick to tell you so, my lady. Which, like, everyone knows that they probably can't even fight. They're an honor guard.
It's a boys' club.
It's a boys' club.
It's the boys' club for the sons of the rich royal nobles who, want the honor and prestige of being part of the Elantris City Guard. They don't really do anything. He says, I doubt many of them would know what to do in a battle, though they seem quite proficient at cards and drinking.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
So she's like, what did they say? And he says that the guards seem to think that an Elantrian completely forgets who they used to be, and it's something more like becoming an animal, which I assume it's mostly coming from, like, they're up on the wall, and Elantris gets thrown in, and they probably see, like, Sheor's men.
Or they're the only people they probably see out and about any other time than that are Hoid.
Yeah, like just people sitting in the gutters and muttering to themselves.
Yeah.
So I can see why they think that way, but we know it's just wrong. And so Sereni is like, so the Sheod is mental as well as physical.
Which in a sense, true.
Kind of.
Yeah, the Sheod, I mean, even pre-Riod, pre and post-Riod, I don't know so much post-Riod, but we know pre-Riod, the Sheod changed the mental faculties of the Elantrians as well. Now, it doesn't change their personality and their memory and all of that stuff that they're assuming it does here, but we do know that the Sheod, the transformation, is mental as well as physical.
Yep. And so they're talking about, like, where do they get their food? Like, the only food that comes in is the sacrifice. It's like, how do they survive? And he's like, I don't know.
And he's like, I don't think they eat. Like,
yeah.
And she says, no society can survive that way. And he says, I don't think they have a society, my lady.
Yeah, he says, they are a group of miserable, cursed individuals that your god appears to have forgotten. Just a little thing. Sions don't believe in the same religions that their masters do, it seems. Like, Sions don't believe in a god. Or maybe they do, but they don't believe in Domai, at least, because Ash is like, well, maybe your god forgot them, So, just a little thing there.
Yeah, it says, and the rest of the company is trying very hard to follow his example.
Yeah.
In forgetting the Elantrians.
Go on to talk about Sereni's dress. Basically, she's sick of wearing black dresses, so she chose a different one. And Ash is kind of like, you think it's, appropriate? It's not black. It's low cut. Kind of sort of thing, being kind of like a dad here almost.
Yeah, and she's like, I've seen worse. Like, I've even seen like lower cut dresses here in Erelon. And he's like, yeah, those were unmarried women, my lady. Like,
she's like,
not.
Yeah, she's just like, oh well. And then she's like, did you visit the dungeons? So she also sent what?
I don't have video from you.
Oh darn.
Good.
Okay. Sorry for the sudden cut, guys. We had some technical difficulties, but they're fixed now. So we're just going to keep going right where we left off. So Sereni sent Ash to the dungeons to kind of look around and see if they could find maybe Raoden traps some down there.
Yep, she's still thinking that he was either killed. She's pretty sure he was killed.
Yeah.
She's the one who came in with like, if a king is gonna get rid of a competitor to the throne, they're gonna do it in a permanent type way. Um, so she really sent Ash down there because Kian and Royal kind of suggested taking a look around. So
Yep, and so Serene's like, well, Ash is like, maybe you should ask the queen. And Serene's like, well, I don't know how helpful she's actually going to be.
yeah, getting her to talk, easy. Getting her to stay on topic,
Hard.
hard.
So Ash is like, well, what should I do? And she's like, well, I've actually been thinking about Uncle Keine lately, and she wants to know if Keine was ever officially disinherited.
Mm-hmm.
And Ash was like, well, I don't know. I could ask Dio, which is King
Iodons.
Nope.
No, King
Eventios,
what...
King Eventio Sion, and he's like, he might know because he works closely with your father. And then he's like, is there anything else, my lady? And she's like, yeah, find someone to take these black dresses away. Like, I'm done with it.
I'm done with it.
I'm done. And then we go on to her in a carriage with Shuden going to the ball.
Yes, Lord Telry's ball.
Yes, at Lord Telry's place. And basically, it's all very extravagant.
Yeah, there's like, they've got some rocks that are out front, like burning, lighting up the pathway, and they look pretty fancy. And she's like, are those just rocks that burn? He's like, yeah, pretty much.
Special rocks
like
imported from the south.
Yeah, she's like, rocks that burn like coal. Says they burn much more quickly than coal, and they're wildly expensive.
Yeah.
He's like, that's actually really surprising that Telry is like using those.
Yeah.
And she says, Lukel mentioned that the Duke is somewhat wasteful. And Shuden says, he is, but he's far more clever than like most will credit. He's easy with his money, but there's usually a purpose behind his frivolity, which we know tonight there absolutely is.
Yep. And then they go on. Shuden's like, you have no idea how happy I am you offered to come with me. And it's because Shuden is hot and usually has a lot of women come up to him. But since Serene's so new, a lot of them will stay back.
Yeah, because they're not going to know who she is. And so they're just going to like be staying back, assessing their new threat or competition is what Shuden says.
Yep. And they're going. She's kind of like, oh, why is that? But he doesn't really hear her and goes like, one would never know this country is dancing on the edge of destruction. Just they're looking at all the extravagance and everything, and she's like, and he's basically saying like, just from looking at the nobles, you wouldn't know Arelon is on the edge of destruction, which is the same thing Serene thought her first time riding in a carriage through Arelon. She saw all the mansions and all the, big houses and everything. And
and no beggars or peasants.
No beggars or peasants. And she said, she was like, no one would think that they were on the edge of economical destruction. For lack of a better word.
Collapse.
Yeah, collapse. There you go.
There's the better word.
That's the better word. Anyway, so samesies. They go inside and where are we at?
So he's talking about her saving him distress. He says he typically has to beat the eligible maidens off with a stick, and Serene says one would almost think you never intend to marry.
Yeah,
and he says no, it's nothing like that. Let me assure you, I am quite interested in the concept, or at least the theory behind it. However, finding women in this court whose twittering foolishness doesn't cause my stomach to turn, that is another thing entirely. And if circumstances were different, I don't know.
You think Shuden would like Serene?
I think Shuden would like Serene in a sense. I don't think they're a great match. I was going to say I think they'd be a good match. I don't think they would be a great match. But Serene's not the twittering fool that most of these ladies are.
Yeah, true. She notices that like Shuden knows every single woman that comes up to him by name.
Yeah.
A feat of diplomacy. she says, which I apparently could not be
No, you
a
couldn't.
diplomat.
You couldn't.
I can't remember names for the life of me.
We were sitting down earlier, and we were talking, and like two names came up, and I said both of them to Jake, and then he like responded back, yeah, so this, and he combined both the names into one name. And I was like, no, dude, like I don't know how you did that, but no, not at all.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. Anyways, so they're in the bigger ballroom, and then he's like, "Are you okay?"
I'm good. Oh goodness. So anyway, they're in the bigger ballroom.
So, so anyway, they're in the bigger ballroom, and then they make their way to a smaller room that has another band playing, and it's full of a lot more important people, including the king.
Yes. And this is something that King Iadon does pretty much at every ball. And Sereni's really surprised to see him there because King Aventio doesn't go to the balls.
No, no.
King Aventio and Shuden kind of like says that's because your father's grown up, you know, like King Iadon has only been king for 10 years.
Yeah.
And he's still kind of infatuated with his power. So every time there's a ball, King Iadon will go. He'll set himself up in some separate room, and only the most important people are allowed to like attend this secondary ball. And all of the lords and counts and dukes have grown accustomed to this to the point that they hire a second like band.
Yeah.
And wherever King Iadon kind of decides to set up, they will just send a party his way, basically.
Yep, pretty much. And Shuden's explaining all this to her, and he's saying it's like an exclusive one. It's only for dukes and well-placed counts. And Sereni's like, well, you're a baron.
Yeah.
He's like, well, my family forced Iadon to give us a title, so like we're kind of an exception.
Yeah, he's like, Iadon kind of has to put up with me here because he knows that at one point I got the better of him.
Yep. And then
but he says typically I can only spend about an hour here.
Yeah, but he's like, that's all moot because you're here. And she's like, huh? He's like, you are the princess.
Yeah.
Like you rank higher than everyone in this room except for the king and queen.
Pretty much, yeah.
And she's like, oh yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, which is Sereni is used to being an important person.
Yeah.
But Teodes don't pull rank quite as much as Aralene's do, I feel like. She says she's just not used to like the Aralon penchant for pulling rank.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's been an important person, but it just hasn't been an important thing.
Yeah.
Like it is here at Aralon.
And then the king notices her dress, and she's like, ooh, maybe the dress wasn't such a good idea. She didn't know she was going to be singing the king here.
Yeah.
So
and he does not look thrilled
at
her less than black dress.
Yep. And then she notices Hrathen standing out like a bright red scar.
Because he's at a ball in his armor?
Yeah, in his armor. He's also a head taller than everyone, and his armor sticks out like a foot on either side. So big armor, tall guy in
blood
red in a room of ball goers. So I'm imagining, tuxedos, dresses, sort of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if the men wear tuxedos on cell, but something of the sort. Very formal wear for this ball. And they go on to say, like, he just showed up one of the balls. He showed up, came into this room, and acted so self-important that, like, no one has dared not invite him.
Yeah. Now. Because she asked Shuden, like, what on earth is he doing here? And he's like, he's been to every ball and social function since he got to Kai.
Yep. And it says, apparently Hrathen considers the title of Gjorn equal to anything in this room. And Sereni's like, well, in the East, kings bow to Gjorns.
Yeah, because when Hrathen walked in, he said the first time Hrathen walked in, he gave a slight nod to the king.
Yeah.
And like nothing to anybody else, you know?
And then just went on talking to like a duke or something.
Yeah.
And then they start talking about how Shuden's homeland is
Dorethi.
Dorethi now.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like, well, yeah, we think that letting Wern think we're Dorethi is better than fighting.
Yeah. It does say it's kind of changed. Because she says he's Jindo. His family would have believed in Shu Kiseg, the parent religion of both Koroth and Direth. But it's Dorethi now. And when she says that, it says his face darkened. He says, I wonder what the great master thought when his two students, Koroth and Direth, left to preach in the lands northward. Kiseg taught of unity. And this is a little bit more into like the ideas behind each of these. It's Kiseg taught of unity, but what did he mean? Unity of mind, as my people assume. So that's what like the Shindo people, like the followers of Shu Kiseg, is unity of mind. Unity of love, as your priest proclaims, so Koroth, or is it the unity of obedience, as the Dorethi believe? In the end, I am left to ponder how mankind managed to complicate such a simple concept.
Yeah.
And I love that whole like
paragraph.
Yeah, that whole paragraph, that whole like dichotomy there, the differences and the.
Yeah, it is interesting that like it's so like unity is such a simple concept. And we have three religions whose basically main tenet is all unity, but they're wildly different from each other.
Yeah.
So very interesting there.
Yeah, but it says, anyway, yes, my lady, Jindo is Dorethi now. My people allow Wern to assume that the Jindo have been converted because it is better than fighting.
Yeah.
And he says, many are now questioning that decision, however. The Artefs are growing increasingly demanding. And I know we talked earlier about would living under Dorethi rule really be that bad? You know, because we've seen examples of where they've taken over, and is it really that bad? It doesn't seem like it.
Yeah.
But I think here we get a little bit like once they've established and they've got their foot in and like there's kind of a status quo going. I do think it starts
to become a little more oppressive.
Yes.
And this makes me think, you know, like maybe in Elantris 2, we see a Jindo rebellion.
With Chayshawn.
Dude, a battle between like Chayshawn and
the monks of Nakor, dude.
Oh, that'd be pretty epic.
That'd be fun.
That'd be pretty cool. And then they go on and
are you going right into that next line there? Because if not, I want to talk about it.
No, go ahead.
She says, I agree, right? He's like, I don't know like how all of this got so complicated. And she's like, I agree. Shu Direth must be stopped. It's a perversion of the truth. And he's like, no. Not what I said.
Not what I was saying.
He says, I didn't say that. The soul of Shu Kiseg is acceptance. There is room for all teachings, you know? So I just thought that's interesting that like they don't love living under Dorethi rule, but as a tenet of unity and like unity of mind that Shu Kiseg preaches, they allow for all religions. They just believe in freedom of religion.
Yeah. And he goes on, he's like, the Dorethi think what they're doing is right. But that one, however, and he's looking at Hrathen, that one's dangerous.
Yeah.
And he goes on to explain, like, I've heard Hrathen preach, and he doesn't do it out of like faithfulness. He's not preaching for the people's faith. He's doing it very logically and like just from his mind, not his heart.
Yeah. And it says he looks for numbers in his conversion.
Yeah.
Paying no attention to the faith of his followers.
Yep. And then he also points out Wayrin. And he's like, I don't trust that one either.
Yeah.
Because he switched over to Shu Direth, and so he's like, apparently he had a vision, and now he's Shu Direth. But Shuden always thought that his
religious fervor
was always a opportunistic tool, rather than like, oh, he actually believes in Shu Korath. It was more, you know,
he kind of set himself apart as being so devoutly Korathi.
Yes.
And that was like one of the things that put him in the position he's in.
Yep. And then a little later, Lord Royale shows up, and they start talking, and he mentions his Serene's dress not being black. He goes, apparently your penchant for black has waned. And she was like, it was never that strong to begin with, my lord. Which it really wasn't. She never really
No,
wanted
she
to
didn't
wear
like
the
black.
Yeah, she didn't want to wear the black dresses.
Which he knew. Like he was just jabbing. And so they're just riffing right now.
Yeah.
But he says to Shuden, like, you're lucky, you know, I didn't know you would realize your good fortune. I was hoping to accompany Serene and not have to deal with all of these, you know, like
leeches.
Is that what he says?
He says, yeah.
Few of the leeches myself.
Keep a few of the leeches off myself.
And this is Serene like looks up in surprise because Royale
hot.
No.
Not Royale.
No,
not Royale.
Royale homely.
Yes.
I think that's like the best word. Like,
yes. Shuden hot makes sense.
Yeah.
Women flock to him. Royale, old crotchety man.
Yes. Not attractive.
Not attractive. Doesn't make sense that women would be flocking to him, except money.
Yeah. So Shuden explains, like, Lord Royale is perhaps the only bachelor in Erelon whose affection is more sought after than my own. Yeah. So more people are going for Royale than Shuden. I don't know if that's like completely true.
Yeah.
But Royale goes on to explain. He's like, my dear Eoldes, which I couldn't find I'm sure EOL.
Yeah, there wasn't.
It's not in the Coppermind. I'm sure it is an Aeon, but we don't have anything.
Yeah, so he's talking about his late wife.
Yes. He said she's been dead for 20 years and I have no son. And Royale is like the most wealthy person in Erelon other than the king and Telri, basically. Yeah. And so he's like, and they know my fortune has to pass to somebody. So all of these young ladies are willing to like marry me, put up with me for, 5 years, watch me die, and then go find a young love and spend all my money.
Yeah, so they're kind of like, you're too cynical. And he's like, I'm too realistic.
Yeah.
But anyways, they go on to start talking about Lord Telri. And Royale says, I hear that our dear Lord Telri's sudden good fortune isn't a matter of pure luck. And basically alluding to the fact that Hrathen and the Derethi kingdom has given Lord Telri the fortune.
Yes. And Shuden like gets a little suspicious. He's like, well, Duke Telri has declared no allegiance to Shudireth.
Yeah.
Wow. Excuse me, sorry, to Shudireth.
And he says, not openly, but that one thing is certain. There's rarely been a party like this in Kai, and the Duke is throwing it for no obvious reason. One begins to wonder just what Telri is advertising. Yeah. Why would he want us to know how wealthy he is?
Yeah.
Sort of thing. So it's all part of Hrathen's plan right now. Yeah. So after that, the queen then waves Serene over to talk with the king and her.
Yeah, and Serene's a little worried, like, what is this?
Yeah.
What could they possibly want?
And she brings up the sword fighting. And so Ishen's kind of like, Serene, you got to convince him.
Yeah. She's like, I was just telling the king about this idea you had for exercising.
Yeah, that's funny. He's like, what is this about women playing with swords? Blah, blah, blah. And Serene
puts on her dumb act.
Yep. Dons the dumb mask and convinces, well, kind of just like pesters him enough for him to be like, whatever.
Yeah.
Do what you
gets
want.
It to the point where he's like, I'm not going to have this conversation with this idiot girl. You just go wave your sword in peace.
Yeah. Yeah. So they get
permission granted for Serene to start teaching the women how to fence. As they're walking away from that conversation, a messenger runs up to the king and starts like whispering in his ear. Yeah. And Serene is like, oh, I want to hear this. And so she stops Shuden and she's like trying to listen in. And the king gets a little frustrated at the messenger because he's like trying to whisper. And he's like, just tell me, man. Like, I don't want all this whispering. And so the man's like, it just happened this week.
Yeah.
And Serene's like, what happened?
And then Hrathen steps in because Hrathen knows what this messenger is bringing, or at least he thinks he knows what the messenger is bringing
because he orchestrated it.
He orchestrated it, and so he doesn't want Serene to hear it. So masterfully, he just puts a comment out in the air.
Yeah, and he doesn't even like, it's not even that he steps into a conversation or he turns and addresses somebody. He's like still talking to whoever he's talking to, but just projects his voice in a way that the king can hear. Like, it was masterfully done.
Yeah, and he basically, like, one would think that the king wouldn't talk about sensitive topics in the presence of someone so dull-minded, essentially, paraphrasing there. And the king hears this, looks at Serene, and is like, all right, come over here, tell me over here. And Serene looks at him and is kind of like, oh, he did that on purpose.
Yeah.
And Hrathen grins a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, knowing that he outmaneuvered her in that moment.
Yes.
So it's pretty funny.
And then Shuden says, often, my lady, our deceptions turn on us.
Yeah.
And then he says, I've often found that no matter the circumstance, it is most useful to be oneself. The more faces we try to wear, the more confused they become. And I love Shuden.
Yeah.
Like, it says earlier over here, like, Shuden was well liked, though he was far from the most lively of men. She sensed that his popularity came not from his ability to entertain, but from his refreshing honesty.
Yeah.
And I just think Shuden really is just like, he's the same person regardless of who he's with.
Yeah.
He's just kind of straightforward and honest in his interactions, and I like Shuden a lot.
Yeah, I think that line there, the more faces we try to wear, the more confused they become. I just think of Shallan.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, she was pretty
little confused there.
Yep. They go on, they're talking a bit about how, her dumb facade kind of like hurt her there.
Yeah.
And that's why he brought that up. But king...
she ends up saying, she's like, you know what, the king probably would have seen me that way regardless.
Yeah, he's short-sighted when it comes to women. But the king returns and his face was dark. And so obviously we know that he just got the news that his ships that were, I think, on their way to Teod. Can't remember where his ships are going, but he basically had a couple ships that were taking merchandise places and they were sunken.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it gets blamed on Crushed Throat or Pirates.
Yeah, Pirates.
I'm not sure if Crushed Throat actually comes up. I think it
does. He?
I think it might. They might allude like, oh, it was probably Crushed Throat or whatever. I don't know who says that, so don't even talk about.
I have no idea.
Okay,
I don't remember that too much. So we'll have to talk about that when we get there.
So we hear that his merchandise is at the bottom of the ocean. So obviously,
not in this chapter. We don't.
No, I'm just saying, like,
this is what this messenger was.
Yes, this is what this messenger is saying, and so obviously, the king's not happy.
Yeah,
king's not happy, and that's also meaning he's losing wealth, which is Hrathen's plan: is make Iadon lose wealth, Telri gain wealth. So in the system that's set up, Telri would have a claim to the throne once he's making more than Iadon.
Yeah, which, to be fair, he already is.
I think
him and Royal, like, even I think without the backing, without the backing of Shudireth, without the backing of Fjordell, Telri is more wealthy than Iadon. The only reason that Iadon is quote unquote more wealthy is because he claims the taxes in his wealth.
Yeah.
But those are taxes to the kingdom. And so if Iadon was like truly, following his own system to a T, like, he's not the most wealthy man.
Yeah. But obviously he wouldn't be.
No.
Because that means he would lose the throne. But Hrathen's trying to make it that Iadon can't even hide behind the taxes.
Yeah.
It's even with the taxes, Telri will be making more.
Yep.
So that's what we're seeing here.
It's kind of crazy to me. And again, just the brokenness of this system in general.
Yeah.
For someone to have to be king and also to have to be a merchant and be the best merchant.
Yeah.
Broken system.
Very broken.
Those are not compatible things.
Yeah. So yeah, they kind of keep chatting a bit. I haven't marked anything else in that conversation. I don't think it's
not super important. We cut later. It says it was late.
Yeah.
It says Shuden had wanted to leave hours ago.
Yeah.
But Sereni had been determined to forge on, plowing through hundreds of people. So
Yeah.
she had Shuden take her around and introduce her to everyone.
Because she feels that Hrathen
Got the jump on her.
Yeah, he's been coming to these balls for a week now. She's just starting, so she's like, I got to make up for it.
Yeah.
I got to meet all these people, all of this. But she gets taken back to the palace, where immediately an alarm is raised.
Yeah.
And we know this to be the alarm of Raoden and Karada had broken in. Obviously, they're already gone.
Yeah.
I think
They're probably already back in Elantris at this point.
Probably. But so a guard comes up and he's like, oh, someone just broke in. They were in the king's chambers. Like, hey, you guys take the princess to her room and stand guard, sort of thing.
Don't worry, my lady, they're already gone.
Yep. So, and that's pretty much the end of Sereni's chapter, unless there's anything else you wanted in there.
Nope, that's it.
Okay, perfect. On to Hrathen's chapter.
Yeah.
This one's a shorter one. Not too much to talk about.
No, again, this is really just like a continuation of the storyline. Nothing super deep.
Yeah.
So I do have some markings for sure.
Holy. Oh, you know what? Same here.
All right.
So Hrathen, after the party, instead of going back to the chapel or whatever, he goes up on the wall of Elantris.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the first couple paragraphs are just him musing to himself.
Yeah, I love in that first paragraph, it says, at night, when all melted into a uniform blackness, Hrathen could almost see Elantris' grandeur. So when it's dark and you're just seeing this silhouette,
yeah,
it's still a grand city. It's
Yeah.
still huge. It's still like, it's Elantris, and you can't see the decay and the grime and like all of that. And so it's
Yeah.
still like grand at night.
Yeah, and then he whispers to himself, he's like, dream on, Elantris. Remember that what you used to be, and try to hide your sins beneath a blanket of darkness. Tomorrow the sun will rise and all will be revealed once again. Which I think is kind of the banger line.
Yeah, that's pretty
Kind
good.
of a banger line.
And it says, my lord, did you say something? Sorry, guys, knocked a book over.
A guard is doing his runs on the wall and kind of overheard Hrathen whisper to himself. He's like, what'd you say? And Hrathen's like, nothing. I was just talking to myself, sort of thing.
Yeah, he goes on to keep thinking. I love what it says here. It says he felt a responsibility toward the people.
Yes.
Or whatever they were that lived in Elantris. He was using them, holding them up as an enemy to unite his followers. He felt guilty.
Said they deserved pity, not condemnation, but still his devils they would become. It's good.
And like, I love it because Hrathen knows.
Yeah.
Hrathen knows these are things to be pitied,
Yeah.
not
and he even
raucous,
Yeah, and he even goes on, he's like, oh, what burdens we must accept in the service of your empire, Lord Yadith.
Yeah.
And he just like, to Hrathen, this is a burden. This isn't like, he's not relishing it. He's not like, haha, like I get to beat down these Elantrians to like, ruin this government.
Not like D-Lop would.
Not like D-Lop. He is literally just like, I'm doing what I have to do to further the empire.
Because he does believe that it's better.
Yes. He's like, I don't enjoy this, but nonetheless, I will do it to further the empire, sort of thing. And then he's up, he's talking to himself. He notices that like most of the Elantrian wall is covered in like the slime, and there's just a portion of it that the guards keep clean.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually he notices a group of people that are all like hooded, trying to be like discreet.
Yeah, like coming towards him.
Yeah, and then he was like, it would almost work for them to be discreet, except Lord Telry's cloak is like lavender,
like royal purple,
like rich lavender with silver embroidery.
Yeah.
So it's like, not super discreet, Telri.
You were so close.
Yeah. So Telri asked Hrathen to meet to, whatever, talk.
Yes.
And Hrathen already knows. He's like, you're having second thoughts.
Yeah, Tellery says, "Aren't you going to ask why I wanted to meet with you?" And Hrathen he said simply, "You're having second thoughts about our plan."
Yeah.
And Tellery is a little taken aback. He's like, "Oh, well, if you know that, then you must be having second thoughts too, you know?"
And he's like, no, I'm just smart.
And you asked me to meet you here discreetly and suspiciously.
Yeah.
And that pretty much tells me that you're having doubts.
Yeah. So he then goes on to basically convince him that.
Yeah. Well, Tellery, he's trying to figure out why Tellery's having doubts. Like,
Right.
Did I do something that he no longer trusts me? What happened? All this. And eventually it comes out, Tellery's like, I heard some things at the ball.
Yeah.
Are you the Gjorn that was assigned to Duladel right before its fall, you know?
He goes, so that's it. Yeah, I was there.
I was there.
I was there.
And Tellery's like, you don't see how that could make one a little bit nervous, you know?
Yeah. And instead of answering him directly, Hrathen takes kind of a more indirect path.
Mm-hmm.
So he's kind of like, where did you get those soldiers, my lord? Talking to Tellery. Tellery's just like, what does that have to do with anything? Like, what are you saying here?
Just humor me.
Just humor me. And then he's like, well, I recruited them from the Elantris city guard. I hired them to be my bodyguards, sort of thing. Hrathen nodded, and he's like, and how many guards do you employ?
Yeah.
15 or so.
Yeah, not a large number. He goes on to ask,
how would you judge their skill?
Yeah. He's like, good enough. I've never actually seen them fight. And he's like, that's probably because they've never fought.
Yeah, soldiers in Erelon have never seen combat, sort of thing. It's like, what's your point? Why are you asking me all this? And Hrathen basically is like, do you really think that Wyrn needs a revolution to take control of Erelon?
Yeah, because he kind of totals it up. He's like, you've got the Elantris City Guard, which is 500, maybe 700. If you include local policing forces and personal guards such as your own, there are perhaps 1,000 soldiers in the city of Kai. If you add Lord Eondel's legion in there, you've got 1,500, in the vicinity.
Yeah.
It's 1,500 and only 500 of those are even decently trained,
Yeah. So Wyrn doesn't need a revolution. And then Teller's like, well, Wyrn doesn't have armies.
Yeah.
Doesn't. And he's like, no, but Wyrn is the leader of Shut-Direth.
Yeah, well, he says Fjorden doesn't have armies.
Right.
Yeah, he's like, Fjorden doesn't have any basic defense force. He does say Wyrn. You're right. He says Wyrn doesn't have an army. Fjorden only has a basic defense force.
And then he's basically like, yeah, but basically every other country is under the Fjordell Empire, essentially.
Yeah. Well,
and if Wyrn were to ask them to take up arms, they would.
Yeah, and I don't know, because it says here, I don't speak of Fjorden, I speak of Wyrn. How many soldiers are in Hrovel, Jeodor, Fjorden, and other nations of the East? These are people who have sworn themselves Dorethi. So these people haven't, pledged allegiance to Fjordell. They've sworn allegiance to the Dorethi religion. So I think it's not great, but I think there is a slight separation of church and state there, where there's the Fjordell Empire and there's the Dorethi religion, and all these people have sworn themselves Dorethi.
I think in name,
yeah,
yes, but
in practice, it's
pretty much Wyrn is the leader of Shut-Direth and the leader of Fjordell, and all these people will listen to Wyrn, which basically means they'll listen to Fjordell.
Yeah.
So it's kind of samesies, but he's basically like, we have all the countries of the East that we can build an army from, basically.
Yeah.
We don't, Wyrn sent me here to avoid that.
Yeah.
If, even if you don't go along with this plan, change is coming and all that. And basically, he goes on to explain that, to do what I need to do, I need a Dorethi sympathizer on the throne.
Yeah.
And so then Tellery's like, so I'll be king.
So I'm gonna get the throne.
And then Hrathen's like, yeah,
Yeah.
you'll sit on the throne.
This is his first like overt promise
Yes.
made in that way, because
Yes.
he's been very reserved about it before then. But even there, he's like, the truth was, Wern didn't even need an army of foreigners to conquer Erelon.
No.
He's like, he's talking about all these like numbers with Duke Tellery.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, we have soldiers from here and here and here and here. And he's like thinking inside, he's like, one monastery could wipe out all of Erelon's forces.
Yeah. All like, and kind of does.
Kind of does.
Like, the monks of the core come to Erelon, basically, well, trash Kai and Elantris, and then move on to Teod.
Yeah.
So, like, one monastery is taking on both of these countries back to back.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And almost wins.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we know that, like, the Fjordell Empire is a lot stronger than anyone thinks.
Yep.
So he kind of soothes Tellery's concerns.
Tellery's back on board.
Back on board. They're like, we'll move forward as planned. And Tellery's like, I am worried about that Teod girl, though.
Yeah.
And Hrathen's like, Hrathen did not like that he brought Serene up.
Yeah, it does say, it said Tellery's astuteness surprised Hrathen.
Mhm.
He's surprised that Tellery's even noticed Serene,
Yeah.
you know? He says, the man seems so pretentious, so flagrant, yet there was obviously a measure of competence to him. But Hrathen is just like, you know what? Don't worry about her. Like, that's not a problem.
Yeah. And then he prompts Tellery to pay his bodyguards more and have his bodyguards talk to the Elantris city wall guards and be like, oh, you know, Lord Tellery's so nice to us. He pays us so much, blah, blah, blah. And this is setting up for later when the city guard basically becomes Tellery's personal guard when he takes the throne.
Yeah.
Follow all that?
Yeah, sorry. I zoned out for a second. I'm back.
No.
Yeah, I followed it.
You're all good. So Hrathen's thinking that much ahead, and it will come to fruition. So
yeah.
Good on Hrathen there.
Yeah, it says, I love what it says here, because it does bring up that Hrathen, you know, it disturbed Hrathen that Tellery had mentioned Serene. Hrathen doubted he would ever be able to convince her of that truth. The truth being, wow,
Hrathen was her greatest ally,
not her dire enemy.
Yeah.
But he says, I'm not going to be able to convince her that. He saw the mistrust in her eyes. She would immediately assume whatever he said was a lie. She loathed him with the irrational hatred of one who subconsciously knew that her own faith was inferior. And this is like Hrathen's mentality.
Yeah.
Is like, he's so confident that he's right that he feels like the hatred that Serene has is a subconscious knowledge that she has that her belief is inferior.
Yeah.
Crazy work by Hrathen there.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense, though. We do see that, maybe not personally in real life, but like when someone subconsciously thinks that they are inferior to someone,
yeah,
they will lash out and act like, I don't know, if and I'm not targeting this at anyone, but like if you're like poor, sometimes you think like rich people are just douchebags.
Yeah.
And it might not be because you've seen them act like that. It might be a subconscious thing. It's kind of samesies, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
What do you have to say?
Nothing. It's something it's so mean. Short man syndrome. Like,
oh. I'm short, by the way.
Yeah. I'm not.
I don't think I hate tall people.
I think people shorter than you might.
Yeah, I guess I'm average.
Yeah, you're not that short.
I'm 5'8", by the way. Jax is what, 6 foot?
I'm 6 foot, yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. We're gonna move on.
Oh
He
man.
goes on to say that like Shukareth was just too weak. Like Shudireth is strong and powerful. Like two plants competing for the same ground, Shudireth would strangle Shukorath.
Yep.
Yep.
And then he hears the city gates close,
Yeah.
which is Karada and Raoden getting back inside the city.
Yep.
He sees the captain and he's like, "Trouble, Captain?" He's like, "Oh, it's you, Bjorn. No trouble. Just one of my lieutenants doing something he shouldn't have." And Hrathen's like, "Letting an Elantrian back into the city?" And he's like, "Yes."
And then Hrathen goes on to be like, hey, if you ever catch one of them outside the city again, instead of throwing back in, I have another solution. And gives him a little coin
Mm-hmm.
and is like, just let me know. And the
Yeah, he's
captain,
like, if you catch another one, like I've been wanting to study one up close for theological reasons. I would appreciate it if the next captured Elantrian found his way to my chapel before being thrown back into the city.
Yep, captain's like, that could be arranged. Takes the bribe. And yeah, that's Hrathen's chapter.
That's it. We made it.
We made it. Short one. Good that it was a short chapter from Hrathen.
Yeah.
And now we're going to move on to our Cosmere question of the week.
So, full disclosure, we didn't have a Cosmere question of the week. We were sitting down, getting ready to record this week's episode, and we were looking through forums to try to find.
Yeah, unfortunately, not as many people comment questions as we were hoping.
Yeah.
So comment your questions, guys, please.
Yes.
But as we were looking for a question for this week, our goat, the unstable Dawn Shard, commented a question.
Yep.
Like literally right before we recorded this.
Yep.
I think we're gonna have to change the name. I think it's the
of our segment.
Yeah, I think it's the unstable Dawn Shard question of the week now.
Yep.
Because out of the this is the fifth one.
Yeah, sixth question of the week.
He's had 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah.
He's had the majority of the questions.
Yeah.
So thanks, Unstable Dawn Shard.
Appreciate you.
You're the best, and you have good questions. So keep them coming.
This one's more not so much like
Cosmere,
like canon. It's more like
it's more just a fun question.
Yeah, but we appreciate it.
So the question they wrote is, this Cosmere question of the week only works if you're also both also Marvel fans,
which we are,
kind of
pre Endgame.
I think I lost interest in the MCU after Endgame.
Yeah,
I wasn't the biggest fan that they swapped over to TV shows because I like going to the movies, and I would go to the movies to watch the Marvel movies. I don't have the time, and I don't make the time to sit down at home and watch a TV show.
Yeah.
It's just not my style. So I actually haven't seen any of the TV shows. That's including WandaVision, Loki, all the TV shows I haven't seen because I don't watch TV all that much.
Yeah.
And after Endgame, I think MCU kind of went a little downhill.
I don't think that's too much of a hot take. I think that's a fairly shared opinion. And I'm kind of in the same boat. I have watched some of I've watched all of WandaVision. I've watched all of Falcon and Winter Soldier. I watched the first season of Loki. I haven't watched the second one yet, but I've heard great things and I'm planning on watching it. But I haven't kept up with the movies.
Yeah. I think the only movies I've seen are the Spider-Man,
which was fantastic,
which was super good, and that was because it was so hyped up with with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield coming in. So I had to watch that one. Don't think I've watched anything else. Oh, I watched Wakanda Forever.
Oh,
because
I haven't seen that one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I loved the first Black Panther. It's one of my favorite MCU movies. So I went. This is becoming like an MCU podcast. Anyways.
The question,
we both have seen the first half of the MCU quite extensively.
Yeah, multiple times.
Or I don't know, don't they have like eras or ages?
Yeah.
But up to Endgame, I've seen all those movies multiple times.
Yep.
And I love those movies. So the question he comes at us with is, do you think Dalinar would be able to lift Thor's hammer? Jonathan,
Jonathan?
Oh, you don't get it.
What?
You don't get it. Thor's hammer's name is Mjolnir.
Yeah.
There's a clip of Paul Rudd. So there's a clip of a lot of the MCU actors being like, what's the name of Thor's hammer? And they're all like, Mjolnir and all that. And Paul Rudd just goes, Jonathan? Great clip.
Haven't seen it, sorry.
Sad you didn't get it. It would have been so funny. Anyways, Dalinar. Lift Thor's hammer. Straight off the bat, I think my gut reaction is no.
So is mine. But,
okay.
Like,
so for those of you who aren't Marvel fans, Thor's hammer can only be picked up by one. The hammer, the hammer has to deem you worthy. So the only,
or you have to be Hela.
or you have to be powerful enough. Because Hela's not worthy, but
no.
She was more powerful than Mjolnir, so she could hold it. But the only other people we have is so Thor, obviously. Spoilers for the MCU, I guess here, but
is that going in our spoiler warning?
And the MCU, maybe.
The MCU through Endgame.
So we have Thor, obviously. We have Captain America.
Yeah.
Vision.
Yeah, which,
it's hard to say because
I don't know how I feel about that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways,
Thor felt good about it. So
who else? Is there anyone else? Hela, but I'm sure Odin probably could.
Yeah, probably.
Anyways, oh, and Lady Thor.
Yeah.
What's her name? She was the love interest in the first one.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I guess I've also seen the newest Thor, which came after Endgame.
Love and Thunder.
Yeah, Love and Thunder. Anyways, those are the only ones so far.
That we know of, that we can remember.
That we know of, that we can remember.
We're doing a Cosmere podcast, not an MCU podcast. I'm sorry, guys.
So, Dalinar, Blackthorn definitely not.
Oh, absolutely not. And that's part of the reason why my original answer is no.
Do you think that, but the hammer is only seeing the current person or their whole history?
Current.
Okay.
Because, people's history play into who they are.
Sure.
Because this hammer is going to read your spirit web.
Okay. Yeah, sure. And I guess Thor had a time in his past where he couldn't lift it.
True.
So we know that
that's so crazy. Because, when Thor got sent down in the first movie, down to Earth, he couldn't pick up his hammer.
He wasn't worthy.
Yeah. So you can be worthy, be not worthy, become worthy. When Steve Rogers first tried to pick it up, he budged it, but he couldn't pick it up.
So here's the thing. Which Dalinar are we taking? Because, spoilers, Dalinar be dead. So,
I
right before he died?
I think, end of Wind and Truth, Dalinar picks up the Shard of Honor.
Well, if he's holding the Shard of Honor, he definitely can, because he would be powerful enough.
Yeah.
I think right before he picks up the Shard of Honor. That Dalinar?
Yeah, if he's worthy enough to pick up the Shard of Honor, is he worthy enough to hold Mjolnir?
I don't know if you really have to be worthy to pick up the Shard of Honor.
Yeah.
He convinced the Shard to let him pick him up, but he kind of tricked the Shard a little bit.
Yeah.
Which kind of is would him being willing to trick the Shard of Honor really mean that he would be worthy to pick up Mjolnir?
I don't know, dude.
I'm going to say no. I'm going to say he can't.
I think I'm still going to stick with that and say he can't.
I think
interested to know what you guys think.
And I'm sure there's people out here, Unstable Dawn Shard, if you're a big MCU fan, you might know better than us.
Yeah, we haven't read any of the MCU or the Marvel comics or anything like that.
Our only Marvel information is what they put in the movies.
Yeah.
So there could be a different version of Mjolnir that he could. I know there's different not timelines. It's a multiverse.
Yeah.
So there's different universes that something's changed. But I think Dalinar, Wind and Truth, before he picks up the Shard of Honor, I don't really consider Dalinar to be like, like such a worthy person or whatever. Like Dalinar still has his faults
Oh, absolutely.
and everything. So I'm going to say no. Is there a version of Dalinar anywhere throughout the Stormlight Archive?
I think the closest version of Dalinar that could be able to pick up Mjolnir is Dalinar, like, in Thalen Field. I think that's probably the closest we get.
I was going to say it's Dalinar when he gives up his Shard Blade for Bridge 4.
For the bridge. Oh, dude.
I think maybe in that moment.
Wait until the pod gets to the Stormlight Arc
It's going to be so
through the Way of Kings, dude. I love that book so
It's
much.
so good. Dalinar throws down what's the name?
Oathbringer.
It's Oathbringer.
Yeah.
So Dalinar throws down Oathbringer. He's like, this for the bridge crew. You know, what is a man's life worth? It's priceless. Blah 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 blah. Turns around, picks up Mjolnir, and walks away with Kaladin.
Oh, dude, that is such a moment, dude.
So, I think we have seen moments where he might be worthy to pick up Mjolnir.
Yeah.
But I don't think
Dalinar generally as a character?
No.
No.
I think 95% of the time, maybe can budget,
Yeah.
but can't fully hold it and wield its power.
Yeah. I think I'm going to agree with that.
I'd like that. Okay, and I think that's all we have for you guys this week.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in. Jax, where can they find us?
You guys can find us over on TikTok, on Instagram.
I feel like we should stop promoting our
We should
Instagram.
probably stop promoting our Instagram. If you guys are trying to find us over there, there's maybe a couple videos.
We're so bad at posting all our videos across all the platforms.
Yeah.
Mainly, you're going to find us on TikTok, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Those are like our 4 main ones.
Yeah. And we are behind on YouTube, but
we're catching up.
We're catching up. And we apologize. We're sorry.
That's okay. All of those are just going to be at Into the Coppermind.
Yep.
For all the platforms. And thank you guys for tuning in, and join us next time as we dive into the Coppermind. That's a wrap.